Wait, sorry, 1 second. Um, 1 second. Okay, so Telegram is telling me that I need to quit the app and come back to allow screen sharing. So I'll drop out for 1 second. Sorry for the inconvenience. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. And by the way, I would ask our audience to comment in the under the last post if we are audible, and if you all can hear our voices and it's good, please send plus or minus in the chat. Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
stage is yours. Thanks again.
I did want to ask if people can participate. Is there like a chat if I ask people questions so they can, if they can reply? Right, maybe that will be in the chat. All right, anyways, if people can participate, that would be great. But for now, we are going to get started. And yeah, if I disappear or if something, if you lose me, please do let me know. And I'm going to start. So welcome everyone again. Today we'll be talking about passion projects, which, as I mentioned, is a very important part of your college applications that will make you stand out. So here is our agenda for today. I'm going to briefly introduce myself and talk about my company, Borderless, because this has been my baby, and this is also a very good example of a passion project. At least it started as a passion project and now it grew into a tech startup. Then we'll talk about what is a passion project. We will talk about how to find an idea for a passion project, how to create an MVP, and you'll learn about what is MVP later, how to document your results, and in the end, we will definitely leave some time for the Q&A, so we can maybe brainstorm some project ideas, or you can just ask me any questions regarding passion projects or just extracurricular activities in general. So my background from Uzbekistan, and I know that a lot of people here are from Uzbekistan as well. It's honestly so amazing to see more and more people from our region getting into top universities. Because when I went to NYU Abu Dhabi, I was actually the only Uzbek student in my whole class. It was class of 2019. So it's so cool to see like literally 94 people here right now. So as I mentioned, I graduated in 2019 and I did mechanical engineering. So I have a degree in mechanical engineering. After that, I've moved to Japan and I worked in Tokyo as a mechanical engineer for about 2 years. And from then I started Borderless, which is an edtech company, and it has nothing to do with mechanical engineering. So maybe that's a story for another day. But now I run this company and I'm also a content creator. I used to do Instagram. That's kind of how this whole education journey started. But now I switched to TikTok and I run the Borderless account. And we have about like 200,000 followers. So if you want some quick tips and short videos, then you guys should follow us. So a little bit about Borderless. Borderless has two components. So number one is our free website that maybe some of you have seen. It's borderless.so. What you can find there is a lot of stories of successful applicants, Actually, most of them are from Central Asia because that's where I'm from. So I have a lot of friends who went abroad. And these are also good stories to read and to see people's stats, people extracurriculars, and just to get inspired. And we also have different events with experts and educational guides. I will actually be doing an event on essay writing this Saturday. So if you're interested, you can go to borderless.so/events and sign up, and it's all free. And a second component of my company is something that's called Borderless Sensei. Sensei is teacher in Japanese, and it's AI-powered college counseling because we really wanted to make college counseling actually affordable for international students. And as you know, humans are very expensive. Like human counselors are very, very expensive. But when you use technology and you use AI, you can actually automate the entire college counseling process, including essay review, college lists, and all of that. So this is something that we are building right now, and actually we'll be launching a fully automated essay review by AI later this week. So again, if you're interested and you have a lot of essays you want checked, keep an eye on these announcements. So yeah, this has been what I've been doing full time for the last year and a half. And as I mentioned, it grew out of a passion project, which is why I'm super excited to talk about this today. Now moving on to the actual topic of today's talk. Before we move into passion projects, I do want to talk about extracurriculars in general at first. And I want to ask everybody what makes a good extracurricular activity. So I don't know if people can answer. If you can, please write somewhere. I don't know where. Actually, let me open the Telegram chat. Let me know what you think makes a good extracurricular activity. Let me see if I can. Right. Am I able to see the responses or?
People can write their responses on the last post, and people are already writing them in the comment section of the last post.
All right, perfect. I see it now. Thank you so much. All right, so let me just read some responses. People are saying doing interesting things that you enjoy. I love this. Internships, yes. High impact. And I see again, impact, initiative, motivation. Something you're actually passionate about. Yes, these are amazing responses. So I do agree with you. And I think that a perfect extracurricular activity needs these 4 components. Number 1 is commitment, or in other words, depth of participation. And it means that doing an activity for 5 years is much better than doing an activity for 5 months or 5 days. I mean, 5 days is not even an activity. This is just an attempt to do something, but it's not going to count. But if you do something for 5 years, you truly show commitment and you show depth of participation, and you actually demonstrate your passion. Because if you stuck to an activity for this long, it's clear that you actually like it and that you're not doing it for some external reasons. So this is very important. So I don't want to freak out people who are applying this year because you don't have much time. But if you are, a sophomore or freshman in high school, then the earlier you start something and the longer you stick to it, the better it will be. Number 2, it's no surprise, leadership. Leadership is, of course, very important, and this is something that is highly valued by US universities. For example, NYU specifically is very known for saying global leaders all the time. It's all over their website. And not just NYU, pretty much every American university values leadership. Because at the end of the day, leaders are people who are changing the world. If you think of the most influential people, I don't know, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, all these people, one, kind of came out of US universities, but also they are the founders, the CEOs, the presidents, the heads of something. So the leadership trait is something that colleges want to see early on. Even if you're just 17, 18 years old, you should already show that you have a potential to become the kind of leader like the people that I've mentioned. Number 3, this is something you guys pointed out, and it's very important, is the actual impact. And this is what a lot of people get wrong, where people kind of participate in some clubs and do things here and there. But at the end of the day, if I ask them, but what did you actually, who did you actually impact, or like who did you help, or like what became better because of your efforts, there is no answer sometimes. And that is not a good activity. Good activity will show actual impact, where you have helped a very specific person achieve something. You have raised a specific amount of money. You have organized an event for this many people. Like, I don't know, whoever's organizing today's event can say they organized this admissions, like seminar, marathon, whatever you call it, was like 100 participants. This is impact, and whoever is here is clearly getting benefit from it. So this is a very good example. So whatever it is you do, you have to make sure you get to a point where it actually improves someone's life and it actually has a positive impact. And number 4 is authenticity and passion. This is a little bit cringy, but I will keep saying that you should do things that you enjoy doing. Because again, if you don't like something, it's very unlikely that you will stick to it for a long period of time and you won't show commitment. And also, doing things just for the sake of college application is kind of sad, and it just doesn't work out because people can see through that pretty easily. And I think what's interesting about this is that passion doesn't have to be academic passion. But it probably should be to some extent because you are applying to a university where you will be studying, but that's not it. You can also be passionate about anime, about food, about chocolate, about traveling, wherever it is, and there is a way to make a good activity out of it. So I want you to actually be true to yourself and ask yourself what is it that you enjoy doing, and just find ways to capitalize on that. Right? So these 4 criteria, again, commitment, leadership, impact, and passion, is something that I think all of your activities should have. Of course, not all of them will eventually have all of these 4 criteria because being a leader in all 10 activities is probably impossible, but this is just something that you should aim for all the time. And the reason I love Passion Project is because Passion Project actually combines all of these 4 things. So to me, a successful passion project is truly just a perfect activity that combines all the features that in university would be looking for. And as we dive deeper, you guys will see exactly how each of these 4 criteria are showing in a passion project. All right, so now let's get down to more details and talk about what actually is a passion project. To be honest, I think there is no like a very set definition, like a passion project is this, and that. So I will just share how I see it. First of all, passion project is a long-term project that you create yourself. I think there are 2 most important factors here. Number 1 is long-term, because this is something that will show commitment, and we already discussed it just now. And number 2 is that you create something yourself. And this is the essence of a passion project. It's truly yours, where you're the boss, you're the head, you're the founder, you're the creative. You are leading and you're not following. It's fine to have a teammate. If you do something together, you both make decisions. This is still your passion project. But if somebody started a club and you are the 10th member joining the club, it's not really a passion project anymore, because you would be following the ideas and the execution of other people. So the part about doing it yourself, I think, first of all, it's very exciting because you can be your own boss, but also it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure, because if it doesn't work out, it's also your responsibility. Number 2, a passion project is an extracurricular that is truly unique. And I don't want to discourage, again, people who do things like student government and MUN and debate club, but it's important to understand that these activities, even though they are very strong and you should still very much do them, they are not very unique, because every single school has some kind of student government, and a lot of people are in that student government. A lot of schools have MUN teams. A lot of schools have debate teams. A lot of schools have school newspaper. A lot of schools have basketball clubs, all these different things. And again, they are important, but they're not very unique. And if we're talking about admission to very competitive US universities with like 4 to 10 acceptance rate, you need a little bit more than that. I'm not saying that passion project is mandatory, but I'm saying it's an activity that is truly unique, and they will definitely help you stand out, because you will be the only one doing that particular project, like literally no one else. Right? Number 3, I think a very big benefit of a passion project is that it's an activity you can do at home. I think it's very valuable for international students because depending on where you come from, which region, which city, your opportunities might be quite limited. Like, I'm from Tashkent, so I did have quite a lot of access to different things, to different like clubs and activities. So I think I was on the more privileged end. But I also know people who are outside of the big cities, who are in villages, and maybe you don't have any clubs and you don't really have much. And it is honestly quite difficult. But the beauty of Passion Project is that you can do it at home just with the internet. There's so much you can do online, and we will talk about examples. And I think it should be very empowering to feel like you can be anywhere, and as long as you have computer and internet connection, you can actually make an outstanding passion project, and you don't need anyone or anything else as a resource, right? You have everything that you need. And lastly, I think that passion project can be your spike. And if you haven't heard the term spike, I think in kind of Russian space, people call it like a personal brand, but I think in US, it's more of a spike. And spike is basically a very defined interest in something. So a spike can be in computer science or in technology, and it's where multiple of your activities are related to computer science, and you've done an internship in computer science, and then you took CS and math classes, and a bunch of other things are showing that very defined interest in one area. And so if you have that spike, and if you have a passion project that's related to that spike, it's very good. This is very, very memorable. So for example, if you are, again, like interested in computer science, and if your passion project is creating, I don't know, a platform or a game, then you will definitely be remembered for it. Or if you want to do arts and your passion project was designing some, I don't know, mugs with Uzbek design, and you sold those mugs, this is also something that people will remember you for. And it's much easier to remember someone. It's like, oh, it's a girl who sold mugs, or it's a guy who coded a game, or it's a guy who translates Japanese manga, whatever. Like, this is very interesting. This is something that's going to make you stand out, and something that will be remembered by the admissions committee. Because at the end of the day, admissions committee are real people, and they just want to get to know you on a personal level. So for all these reasons, I think passion project is something that you should definitely pursue. But I want to make a very clear point that a passion project is not the same as a hobby. And I'm not saying hobbies are bad. I think you should have hobbies that have nothing to do with college applications. I think you need hobbies just to literally chill out and like enjoy your life. For example, I do dancing, and no one cares that I do dancing, but this is just for me, and it keeps me happy, and I don't even tell anyone about it. So I hope you have such hobbies, but at the same time, it's not a passion project. And so, for example, playing video games, again, totally valid hobby, nothing wrong with it, but it's not really a passion project. But if you were to make it into a passion project, a low-key version would be creating a gaming YouTube channel. Why is it a passion project? Because first of all, you need to actually produce something of value to other people. And someone might say, gaming videos are not very valuable. I think that's wrong. There's actually a very, very big gaming community. And I think e-gaming is almost like an Olympic level. I don't know, like it's a very big sport. So there's actually a lot of value to a lot of people. So when you create a channel, first of all, you will actually do the work of making these videos. You will show commitment, and you will hopefully show results in terms of followers, growth, and you will create an online community. So that's a pretty decent passion project. I'm not going to lie, it's not like the best one, but it's not bad. It's something I would definitely put on my application. But if you, for example, want to create your own game as a computer science student, I think this is an amazing passion project. And if then you put this game to the App Store or the Google Play Store, and it gets like, I don't know, 10,000 downloads, this is just incredible. So you can see how there's certain evolution from going from a hobby to a passion project. So this is like a small exercise that you can do yourself as well, where you can think of any hobby, no matter how big or small you have, and try to brainstorm how you would potentially make it into a project. You don't have to do it because not every hobby has to be a project, but I think it's a good mental exercise to like get your brain thinking about it. So now let's look into more examples of different passion projects. And then after we go through these, I want you guys to also brainstorm in the Telegram chat and give me your ideas about what passion projects you could potentially do. So I'll go through these briefly. So number one is Telegram or YouTube channel or Instagram page or TikTok page on any topic that you're interested in. So any kind of media It's a pretty straightforward passion project because we all have a phone at this point. We all know how to use social media. So this is something you can definitely do. Second one is something like an online wellness community where, I don't know, again, you create a Telegram channel and then once a week you do online workouts or you all post different recipes and, I don't know, all try to be healthier together. It sounds fun and it is a good passion project. You can also start your own book club. For example, you're interested in Japanese literature and then you pick 10 books about Japan and you share it to your book club members and then every week you lead a discussion. Again, amazing passion project. You can also do something offline, for example, weekly speaking club where you guys speak in English, in Korean, or whatever languages you're interested in. You can also create care packages for people who are in need, especially if there's certain troubles or disasters that have happened in your area or even somebody outside. You can create different care packages and you can ship them. Again, some of it might cost some money, but these are just some ideas. You can build your own website or an application. You can bake and sell cookies. You can do different design like jewelry design, cup design, clothes design. You can teach a language. You can teach English, but you can also teach Uzbek or Kazakh or whatever language you speak. You can start a podcast. So these are just kind of some of the general ideas that I came up with. So let's now take like 1 minute and let's brainstorm more ideas in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on it. And don't judge your ideas. Just let yourself think. It might sound very silly, but maybe this is what you actually are passionate about. So I want to make it very clear that there's no such thing as like a good passion project and a bad passion project. There is a thing such as impactful passion project and not very impactful one, but still something like it can just be fun. Like, for example, creating a gaming YouTube channel, it's not like super impactful in the way that it's going to save the world. But still, it will help some people and it will entertain some people. And I think it's already good enough. So let's brainstorm some ideas in the chat and I'm going to read them right now. All right, somebody's doing a book club. That's amazing. Organize some fancy activities. Sounds great. Public speaking, book exchange. Yes, book exchange is actually really fun. I used to participate in one and it was so exciting. Writing a book, this is really great. Telegram podcast channel. Yes, love it. I see that some more people are typing, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time. Have your own website and an app. That's great. How can you submit it on the Common App? You just describe it in the extracurricular section, and then in the additional information, you can leave all the links to your website and your apps. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a project that like you're currently doing. You can also just leave ideas of what you think could be a fun project or what you maybe want to do in the future. AI bot, awesome! This is very cool. All right, you guys are very creative. I love it. So keep thinking. Keep brainstorming. You guys can come back to the discussion and like maybe go back to these ideas and think how you can develop them. But we're going to move forward because I have a lot to cover. So this is something I've said before, but I'm going to say it again. Please never start a project for the sake of college application. I know you're all here because you want to go to college, but doing a project just to get into college is a very easy way to put yourself in a lot of misery. It will be like doing a class that you hate. And I think we all have such classes, at least like if you go to a regular public school in Uzbekistan, you probably do not like certain subjects. So don't add any more to your plate. If you're doing a passion project, it should be fun. You should really enjoy it and you should look forward to it. And working on your passion project should honestly be one of your favorite parts of your college application process, or just of your school life in general. Because working on your own ideas with the people that you like, I think is just the best thing ever. So yeah, and you shouldn't do it for the sake of college application, and you should do it because it's your passion. And I included like some pictures of Borderless because Borderless and education and study abroad is my passion. And as I mentioned, it did start as a passion project, but not in high school. It was in the university. When I came to NYU Abu Dhabi, a lot of people kept asking me about how to get in and like all the information. And now it feels like there is a lot of information available, But back then it was like 2017, 2016. There was honestly no information. And I remember I wrote one post on Instagram about what is like IELTS and TOEFL and SAT, and people were like, oh my gosh, this is brand new information. Like I had no idea about this. So we've definitely come a long way. But this whole company started because I opened my personal Instagram page and I started talking about admissions. And then from there, it took many, many years, but it grew into a full-time job that I do and that I love. So I'm not saying you all will be entrepreneurs in the future. This is just like one way to go. But just keep it in mind that a passion project has a potential to actually change your life, because you might just stumble upon something that you love so much that you want to keep doing in the future. So now I love how some of you already have ideas, but many people probably not yet, which is totally fine. So I'm going to give you guys some tips about how you can find an idea that is actually worth pursuing. And I think you should become a little entrepreneur, a little businessman or businesswoman, while you don't have to talk to investors and do scary presentations. You need to do the same thought process that I've done and that all other entrepreneurs are doing. So step number one is that you want to reflect on your passions and on your interests. And you have to be very true to yourself. As I've mentioned before, there's no such thing as a good passion or a bad passion. There's just something that you care about, no matter how big or small, whether it's, again, games, animes, food, some bugs, dogs sitting, whatever it is you like. Be honest to yourself and just write it down. Make a list of all the things that you enjoy doing in life, whether it's academic or not academic. So number two is, this is the process that will take the longest, is that you should observe your life and identify some real problems that you can solve. Again, because as we discussed originally, a passion project needs to have an impact. And you genuinely create an impact when you solve some people's problems. And it can be either your own problem, it can be the problem of your family, it can be the problem of your classmates, of your community. It doesn't matter, but you have to be very, very observant. And for example, again, borderless came out of my own pain point, because as I said, when I came to NYU, I was like, why am I the only Uzbek student in like a class of 300 people? This is so strange. And also I knew how difficult the application process was. So I wanted to solve my own problem just for me like 2 years ago. I was like, if I could do it again, this is what I wish I had. I wish I had borderless. So I want you guys to also look at your life this way and try to identify things that you are not very happy with. And once you start doing it, you will be surprised by how inefficient our life and our society is. From the moment you wake up, there are a gazillion things that you could possibly improve. So spend a few days truly observing every single step and think about what it is that could actually be improved. I don't know, for example, maybe when you cross the street, you realize that there are no traffic lights, or it's very dangerous, or there's something, I don't know, there's a lot of trash on the street. There's a lot of things you can do there. Then you come to your school and you realize that, I don't know, your classmates are struggling with homework. Again, you can help them with that. Or maybe you see that your school is missing something and you can bring it there. So I hope you see my point. Just again, go through your life and be very, very observant and look for different gaps and problems that you could potentially solve. But I do think you should ignore it if your passion project is art related, because I don't know, if you really like to draw comics, it's quite difficult to find the problem that your comics will solve. So creative area is quite different, but creative, you genuinely know it in your heart. You don't need to look for problems. You just know that you like to draw, you like to dance, you like to perform. So if you have that, then you're already very lucky, because you know exactly what you need to do. So just keep doing it. But for other people who don't have like an artistic talent, observe your life and look for problems that you can solve. And step number 3 is I do recommend you guys to talk to your friends and find a co-founder. A co-founder is basically somebody who will do the project with you. And the reason why is that it's just really, really fun. I think doing projects solely, of course, it's doable and people can still be very successful, but it's not nearly as much fun as doing it with your friends. You will also have more ideas. You will have somebody to bear the responsibilities with. If something is not going right, you will have each other to support. And in general, projects that are done by multiple people do tend to move faster and achieve more things than projects that are done by one person. So if you have some ideas, find your friend and say, hey, look, I just thought about this. What do you think? And try to discuss and see maybe you can come up with a better idea right on spot. So don't be afraid to share these things and to discuss and try to find people who think like you and who could potentially join you on your project. All right. So once you've done these exercises, once you've observed your life, you have a few ideas. This is how I want you to self-check and decide which actual idea you will pursue in the future. So first of all, ask yourself, do I care about it? As we talked about, passion, authenticity is very, very important. And if you don't care about it, do not do it. Leave it for someone else. If, I don't know, you don't care about gender equality, it's fine. You cannot care about everything. There's many problems in the world. There is global warming, there is AI threats, there is domestic violence, there is animal violence, there is racism, sexism. There's so many things. And it is normal to not care about all of them to the same capacity, because you just cannot do so much. So pick one and make sure you actually do care about it. So for me, I really care about diversity in education. I also care about female empowerment, but it would be a second priority for me. That's why I have not started a company in that space. I hope this makes sense. Number two, ask whether this reflects your unique life experiences. This again goes back to the point of authenticity. Do not try to do something that you think will look good on the college application, or don't do something because you heard someone else with similar activity got in. This is not going to work. Do something that is true to your life, because this is how it can actually be unique. And this is the beauty of also being an international student, because you see problems that are in Uzbekistan that other people just don't see because they're not in Uzbekistan. So again, stay true to yourself, be authentic, and work in the area that you actually are in and that you understand. Number three, ask yourself if it's challenging enough. I do think the passion project should push you to not just get into college, but also to develop skills, to gain new knowledge, and just to be a better professional. So pick something that you feel like will actually challenge you academically and in other areas. Number four, of course, ask yourself if you can actually make it happen within the reasonable time frame. So again, I don't know when exactly you will be applying to college, whether it's in 20 days, in 1 year, in 2 years, but you have to, again, be realistic and make sure that before you apply, you actually have some results. Because if you don't, then passion project will not look very good on a college application. And the last one is that you want to enjoy the process. I think I've talked about it in the beginning, that you really want to have fun with it, because there's already enough stress for you as a high school student. You already have your classes, you already have your SATs, a lot of other things. So passion project should not add any more stress. It should just be really, really, really fun. So now let's talk about creating an MVP. So does anyone know what's an MVP? If you do, leave a comment in the same thread. I'm curious if you guys are familiar with this term. All right, I don't see an answer yet, so I'm gonna tell you guys. MVP like in games. This is funny. Yeah, there's such thing in games and also in sports. It's like a most valuable player, but MVP in business entrepreneurship is different. So MVP is minimum viable product. And what that means is that instead of creating something huge and big, you want to create something very small. And that's something that's very small, usually has like 1 or 2 functions, and it uses minimum amount of resources and time. And this is very important entrepreneurial approach. And I will give you guys examples about what exactly an MVP is for different ideas. But the point of MVP is to take the first step, because honestly, taking first step is already 50% of success of any kind of project. And what I've noticed a lot of people do is that they start to, like brainstorm and dream big, and they have all these cool ideas, but it's too large where they are too paralyzed to get started. For example, even for Borderless, now I just told you guys how we have a free website with tons of content and tons of events. And then we have the AI-powered college counselor. And then we have a TikTok account with 200,000 people. And then we have a bunch of other things going on. And if from the beginning I tried to create all of that, I would have just never started because it's too much. You don't see how you could possibly get from having nothing to having all of that. So in order to break this paralysis, you want to start small. This is kind of the basic concept of like even habit building or just breaking down projects into smaller tasks. So when it comes to a passion project, you have to think about what is the small thing that you can do literally in like one day or maybe 1 hour that will already move the needle forward. So let's look into some examples. So for example, if your passion project is to create a charity organization, again, creating an organization is very, very difficult. You need to come up with the plan, the idea for the organization. You probably need to secure some funds to run it. You need to recruit people. You need to create a website. You need to find a space to meet. This is a lot of work and it's scary. But an MVP, a minimum viable product, would be to organize one event, which is also a lot of work, but it is much more doable than thinking of creating an entire organization. Next, if your passion project is to have a YouTube channel, I don't know, let's say about Taekwondo or whatever, study tips. Again, creating and running a YouTube channel is a very big commitment. But your MVP would be making one video. You don't even need to think of a polished name for your channel. You don't need all the thumbnails. You don't need to have an email. You don't need a YouTube manager. You just need to make one video and upload it. And that would take probably 1 to 2 hours max. This is easy. Next, if you want to build an app, this is for a computer science student, your MVP could be to make a quick prototype in Figma. Figma, if you guys don't know, it's like a very cool design software. So actually all of the Borderless app was designed in Figma. And when you use Figma, you don't even have to code, but what you can do is create a visual idea of your app. And again, creating this, I mean, it could take a lot of days or even weeks, but it could also take a couple of hours, and it will already take the idea out of your head into some space that you can see it and you can interact with. If you want to create a course, again, creating a course is a lot of work. You need multiple lectures, you need a structure, you need a place to host your course, you need to sell your course. It's a lot of work. Again, don't freak out yet. And first of all, make one free lecture, or maybe just make one webinar and make it free. So you don't need to worry about selling. You just need to try it. You need to try to speak to an audience and see how it feels. And last example, if you want to start a school newspaper or start any kind of writing medium, again, your MVP would be to write one article on, for example, Medium. Medium is a very also nice publishing platform that I recommend you guys to look into if you're interested in writing. The whole point of an MVP is to, again, reduce the stress of perceiving passion project is something that's so gigantic and insurmountable. Okay, I don't know the word, sorry. Something that's too big and something that you cannot comprehend yet. And reduce it down to an MVP. And ideally, this MVP you should be able to do in 1 day. And I know that it sounds insignificant, like one event, one video, doesn't sound like much. But trust me, this is already more than what 99% of people do. Because a lot of people have ideas, but they just never, ever get started. And they wait and they wait and they wait. And then it gets too late because you do have an application deadline. So you actually need to make sure that you do grow your channel or you do grow your podcast by that time. But to actually grow it, you just need to get started at first. So highly recommend you guys to think of an MVP, break down your big idea into something small and just get started, because you learn by doing. And it is going to be difficult, but starting is also difficult. So the sooner you can do that, the better your results will be. And last thing on the topic of MVP, this is a very nice visual graphic that I found, which displays the concept of MVP. It's very important to understand that an MVP should test your idea. So for example, in this graphic, a person, whoever this is, wants to make a vehicle, a car. So at the bottom, actually, let's go with the top. So at the top, you can see that the person made a wheel. And the wheel, yes, even if it's a polished wheel, you cannot drive it. It's not a transport yet. So you can't actually use it and you can't test it. In step number 2, they made a wheel with some bar. Again, it's not really a vehicle yet. So it's not actually a vehicle until step number 4. So this is not how you should do an MVP, because you're not actually testing your idea. You're just doing one polished little component, but it is not usable. But if you look at the bottom picture, again, the person wants to make a vehicle, but they start with something very simple as a skateboard, which is basically a piece of board and 2 wheels. It's something that's very easy to do. And then the skateboard gets upgraded and turns into a bicycle, and then a bike, and then a car. So this is a very good example of how your project would progress. It might start with one post on Telegram, but then you will do an event, and then you will do a community, and then you will do an offline event, and then you will do a collaboration, and then it will keep growing and growing and growing. This is kind of the idea of entrepreneurship, where you start small, but you keep doing it, and eventually you achieve a lot of success. All right. So now I'm going to talk about how to document and present your results. And this is relevant not only for passion project, but just extracurricular activities in general. So I hope this would be useful for everyone. So here are my best tips. So first of all, whenever you do an activity, especially a passion project, you want to make sure to set some goals, because goals is what actually will keep you motivated and what will keep you accountable. And when you set goals, I really like the system that's called SMART. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. It is a very popular framework, but basically SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. What it means is that your goal should be, I guess let's go through all of them. Specific. So what is a specific goal? Let's say I want to post 2 workout videos. This is a specific goal. But if you say I want to post some content, it's not specific, because what content? Post where? Post how often, right? There is no specificity. Number 2 is measurable. Again, you want to say, I'm going to post 2 workouts a week, not some workouts a week or any number of workouts a week. Put a number, because numbers are what will tell you if you're actually progressing or not. Number 3, of course, it should be achievable. If you set a very unrealistic goal, like you want to start a company and be in Forbes 30 under 30 and get into Harvard and move to Silicon Valley all within the next year, it just doesn't make any sense. And when the goal is unachievable, you would just give up eventually, because it would feel like you will never get there. So make sure the goal is ambitious. It has to be ambitious, but it should be achievable and very reasonable. Number 4, the goal should be relevant. It basically means that it should actually make sense within the context of your project. I think this is quite self-explanatory. And number 5, T, which stands for time bound. And this basically means that you want to add a deadline to your goal. And I think for you guys, it's easy because you have a very clear application deadline, so you already have it. But I would recommend to even take it a step further and set smaller deadlines for yourself. For example, if you want to, again, like people were saying that they want to have Telegram channels, again, give yourself a deadline and say that you will start a channel and create a name by the end of the week. And then you want to have 3 posts about SAT by the end of the next week. This is very specific, very measurable, and very time bound. And when the end of the week comes, you will just be very honest with yourself and see whether you have achieved it or not. And this framework is, to be honest, very useful for anything in life, even big life goal settings. I don't know, soon is 2024. I'm sure a lot of you will be doing your goal settings. So this is a framework that you could potentially use. So number 2, what I really recommend you guys to do is to have a daily journal and document everything that you do for your activities. Again, because your ECs are, you will be doing them for a long period of time, hopefully like 1 or 2 years, where when you look back, you might not even remember what exactly you've done and what milestones you achieved. And when it will come to a point where you have to describe your activities, it really, really helps to have a record. For example, let's say you are now a senior and you need to describe the project that you've done. You go back to your notes and you see, okay, I started my project in the spring of my freshman year. And then in the first month, I had these results. But then within the next 6 months, I achieved these results and I had this collaboration. And then the next year, this happened. So it will just help you remember everything and also not miss any details and achievements. And also if you were to get featured by some newspapers or magazines or do collaborations. Again, it really helps to have a track record of everything that you've done. And I also recommend you guys to keep a journal for other activities as well. For example, if you do an internship, please every day log everything that you do. Because at the end of the day, if you go to that person and you ask for a recommendation letter, it would be very helpful if you say, look, I took notes of everything that I've done. So here is a quick brag sheet, as we call it, or list of things that I've done, so that your recommender would know exactly what you have achieved. Because no one else will keep an eye on you as much as you yourself, because people are busy, people have other students and other things to do. So it's kind of your responsibility to keep track of what it is you're achieving and document it. Number 3 is that you always want to measure. So this, I think if you've read any of the extracurricular descriptions that end up on Common App, they all use numbers. And this is something I tell all of our borderless students to do. Instead of saying organize an event, say organize an event for 100 participants. Instead of saying I raised some money, say I raised $5,000. Instead of saying that you, won some competition, say you won first place out of 5 competitors. Whenever you can, add numbers. Of course, don't lie, don't make them up, but add numbers as much as possible, because it makes a huge difference, right? If you won first place among 5 people or among 50 people or among 500 people, it's a very big difference. Same way if you scored, top 1% of your class or top 10% or 50%, this also makes a big difference. So numbers kind of always tell the truth. So whenever you document and you present your results, please make sure to use numbers. Number 4 is please give credit where it is due. This is not so much about actual Common App, but this is just good work ethic. I've unfortunately seen a few cases where people would have disagreements over projects and of ownership of things. People would kind of steal ideas from each other. Don't do that. Be a good collaborator. And if you have co-founders, if you have teammates, acknowledge them and celebrate them and appreciate them. And if you have borrowed an idea or if you borrowed some inspiration, also just give credit to people, because nobody likes to feel like their ideas are being stolen, right? And lastly, but don't be shy. There are also people who take it a little bit too much, and they say things like, I was on a team of 20 people and we all participated and I kind of did this, but you're not actually talking about your own contributions. So even if you are in a team, make sure to talk about yourself and say what it is that you've personally done and you've personally contributed and you've personally achieved. Because at the end of the day, it is your application and not a team college application. So find a balance between acknowledging other people and talking about collaboration, but also being very specific about what it is that you've done and what you've brought to the project. And so now let's look at a quick example. This is a very basic one using social media, because social media is a very popular passion project these days. So a not very good activity on the left says, run Instagram page about study abroad for students. It is not bad. I kind of understand that you are interested in study abroad and you want to help people and you've done Instagram, but I don't really have any details and specifics about what you've done. But let's look at the description on the right, which says grew an Instagram page featuring international students from 0 to 10,000 followers within 3 months. This is so much more clear. I hope you guys can see the difference, where we're still talking about Instagram, still talking about international students, but there's a very clear metric of growth from 0 to 10K in 3 months, which is very impressive. So aim to turn any of your activities to the one on the right, where you add numbers, you make them specific, measurable, time-bound, right? And I have one last slide, which is kind of a summary. And I'm going to give you guys, again, points about what kind of projects would colleges really care about, so that when you work on your own projects, you keep these in mind. So first of all, you want to do projects that align with your values and show your passion. It is called passion project on purpose. It truly has to be connected to your passion. And again, I will say it multiple times that passion doesn't have to be related to academics. Since Common App has 10 slots, you will probably have some academics related activities and you will have some student government activities. So passion project should be something that you just simply care about, no matter what field it is in. And this is something that's actually going to make you unique because your interests are unique. Number two is that your project should have tangible results. So this goes back to quantifying and discussing your impact. And universities want to see that what you've done has actually brought positive impact for your community, your city, your country, or someone else. Because doing something just for fun is a hobby, but doing something with positive, tangible results is a passion project. So make sure to have those. Number three is that they would care about projects that you have worked on for a significant amount of time. Now, there is no like cut line or like specific time frame when it's counted as significant. So I cannot tell you, like 1 month is too little, but 2 months is okay. It depends on the project. It depends on you. It depends on your results. But if you ask me, I will say something that you have worked on for a year or more is very solid, and I will definitely be impressed. If it's something less than a year, it can still be a good activity, but again, it will depend case by case. And the minimum time, at least for me, is like 3 months. If you've done something for less than 3 months, it would be quite difficult, I think, to communicate that this is truly your passion. It might still be a good project, but maybe it's not a passion project, maybe just a little thing that you've done. So again, start as early as possible and try to stick with it for as long as you can, and hopefully even beyond college admissions, because if you really care about it, you would probably want to continue doing it later in the university. And lastly, colleges care about projects that involve leadership and teamwork. And again, if you're lucky enough to find a good co-founder, or if you grow to a point where you need to recruit team members, this is also really amazing because you are the boss, you are the head of the organization, and you show that you can lead people and that you have ideas that are worth pursuing, that other people find so meaningful that they agree to participate in your project. So this will show you in a very best possible light. All right, so these are the 4, again, criteria for a perfect passion project. And this is my last slide. So I want to say thank you very much for listening. I hope that this was useful, and I'll be super happy to take your guys' questions about passion projects or extracurriculars, or maybe something else in general as well.
So the presentation was just amazing. It was hot as our marathon is going, and so I would ask everyone who have their questions to leave them in the comments in the comment section of the last post, and we're gonna go through them. But till then, we had a few questions, which is, what do you, Veronica, what do you think about exaggeration, and what do you think about exaggeration, and how will that affect? Will that be, how positive will that be, or how it will not help, or maybe it will play a negative role? What do you think about exaggeration? Because I've seen many people who've made a little or average, let's say, and then exaggerated it a bit and then made it something bigger. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it is fine to exaggerate a little bit without lying. And so what I mean by that is, what good example can I give? Yeah, no, it's actually quite hard to come up with a good example without making it sound ridiculous. Okay, let's go back. I think it is fine to exaggerate a little bit, and I do see that most applications do it to some extent, but it is still within reason, and it is never a lie. So for example, if you say that, okay, let's say, hypothetical example, that you've applied to some online program and 500 people applied to it, and you were selected within 100 candidates. So program, 500 people applied, 100 people got in. And I have seen people, some people would say, I got in as one of the 100 candidates among, oh my God, I got in as one of the 100 people among 500 candidates. So it's clear that you're 1 in 5. But some people say I got in among 500 candidates. And then it's not clear whether you were the only one who got in or whether there were more people who got in. In that case, I think it's fine to say you got accepted among 500 candidates, and you kind of leave that part unclear about how many people got in. I don't know. Let me know if this example was confusing, but like this is something where you can hide some fact, which will kind of exaggerate your activity, but it's still not a lie. So I think this is like borderline okay, I would still accept it. But very clear exaggeration is not okay.
Wait, Veronica, I think your microphone is muted. Sorry, somehow, is it my internet or is it? So, can you guys comment if Mike's voice is audible or is Veronica's voice is audible? Is off.
Hello? Is it okay now?
Yes, I guess, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. Let me kind of go back to the question about exaggeration. So in a nutshell, I tried to give an example and I failed because I got very confused. I think slight exaggeration is okay, and hiding some small things.
Veronica, again, your microphone got turned off. Just a second. Don't speak. Can you turn it on again? Just a second. Sorry for technical errors. Veronica, maybe you should just stop screen sharing, and then maybe that's gonna fix things.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Okay. I think it's Telegram. It's being so weird. Like I can see my mic being muted. Like I click on it to unmute and then it goes back to mute. I hope it's fine for now. Anyways,
Okay, you can go
yeah.
on.
All right. Yeah. Let me know if you can't hear me. Just go like this so I stop talking. So I don't know how much people heard, but I guess I'll try to summarize what I've been trying to explain before about exaggeration. It's fine to exaggerate a little bit, but you have to make sure you're not actually lying. And the way people exaggerate is usually they will like slightly inflate the numbers, or they will hide certain facts that make the application look less interesting. And it is fine, but you also want to be aware that at any point, admissions committee has a right to request certain evidence. And evidence doesn't mean like some certificate or some official paper, but they might want to talk to your supervisor, your teacher, or even your parents and have somebody else confirm that what you've done is actually true. And of course, if it turns out that it's not true, it's a very big problem because they will basically catch you lying. And especially if you do something on the internet. What is happening?
Mm,
Hello?
yes, you're back
I
again.
just kicked out. Oh my gosh. Telegram is not happy with me. All right.
Probably you got frozen again. And Veronica, if you're in Abu Dhabi, is there problems with Telegram? Like I heard that it's blocked, not Telegram, like Telegram live chats are blocked in Abu Dhabi. I think your microphone is turned off. No, it's
Hello?
good. No, it's good.
All right. Oh my God.
Okay, just we apologize for the technical errors, but it happens. So
Hello?
yes, you're audible
Okay,
now.
I'll keep video out. Maybe.
I think it didn't help. Just a second. Just a second, maybe. Am I audible? Can audience confirm it, like in the comment?
Hello?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Right now, we can hear you.
I've been kicked out like gazillion times and I'm so scared that the moment I open my mouth, it just kicks me out. It's so weird. But I'm now in Japan. So like for context, I graduated from university like ages ago in 2019. So I'm pretty old. And yeah, I now live in Japan. I have never done these live, so that's why I was saying I don't know if it's like Japan problem or something, but seems to be okay. So okay, let's power through questions. Last thing I wanted to say that if you do anything online, make sure keep in mind that it's very easy to check. Like if you say that your Instagram account has this many followers, it's so easy to check. Like at any point, people will just Google you and look for it. So any kind of stats on views, shares, followers, medium views, like all of that, there's kind of no point in trying to exaggerate because it's just very black and white, whether it's actually the case or not. And also if you kind of try to exaggerate not numbers, but just your contribution, it's also kind of obvious, because I have reviewed a lot of like extracurricular activities, and some people are like, I don't know, I have mentored 20 students and all of them scored, like improved their IELTS score from 5 to 8.5 in like 2 months. And it's like, that's quite unrealistic. Like, this is not the result that even the best IELTS teachers can get. So use your own judgment. Like, first of all, kind of don't use your energy trying to exaggerate instead of just like focus on the activity. But also keep in mind that admissions officers are adults with a lot of work experience, and they've read millions of applications. So there's a lot of patterns of exaggeration that people can see. So to be safe, do not, unless it's like some small things that could maybe help you out. But in general, it is pretty easy to spot. Yeah. Okay, finally go to the end of this answer that I've been trying to. I guess I will go through the thread and I will see. Oh, you're back. Okay. Yeah. So I think you're muted now.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, in the comments, there's written. Well, one guy asked, should we try to do as many extracurriculars as possible and then build our narrative accordingly, or should we think up a narrative first and then do extracurriculars that correlate with our narrative?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And 100% you should have a narrative first. Because if you try to do a bunch of different things, then it's pretty much impossible to then find a common theme. Because let's say, I don't know, you hear that somebody's doing tutoring and you're like, oh, let me help out with tutoring, and then let me join the sports team, and then let me do this volunteering project, and then let me do something else. And you're just kind of reacting to opportunities. Well, it's good to be proactive, but at the end of the day, you will end up with many activities that don't really have any common thread. And you could try to force something, and sometimes it works out, but generally it does not. And it actually takes a lot of careful planning, where you have to be very intentional about what it is that you want to do and what it is that you say no to. So very, very important to have a narrative at first. And also you should always pursue depth versus breadth. So instead of having 10 like shallow activities, you should just have 1 or 2 that are really, really impactful. And for example, my co-founder of Borderless, he's also he graduated from NYU, and he said he pretty much had like one good activity where he was in Boy Scouts in Japan. And he's done it for like maybe up to 10 years. And he was like the leader of their team. And he went to Sweden for international conference. He had a bunch of awards. And through this activity, he helped a lot of people in the community. So he had one thing, but he's done it so well that also got him to NYU. While for me, I've done a little bit more things, but still I wasn't very much spread out. I had a few clear tracks that showed what it is that I care about, what it is that I want to do in life. So always try to narrow down and always pursue depth, like commitment and results, versus kind of reacting to a bunch of different things. And as you get closer to the application time, you have to say no to a lot of things. Even if some new project comes up, but you're in the middle of your senior year, do not take it. You should instead be writing your essays. You should be polishing current activities. If you say yes to something, other things will suffer. So just be mindful of your time and strategize. Yeah.
Okay, good. So also you can look up some questions in the comments yourself. I'm gonna mark which are good ones.
Yeah. All right. So
This one.
what is the best way to mention startups' revenue? What kind of metric of startup are valuable for universities? So the only way to mention startup revenue is to mention startups revenue. Like you can only say my startup has made this much money in the last month, or total startups revenue is this many dollars since it started like a few months ago. Like when you talk about money, there's honestly only one way, is just to literally say how much money you've made. So when it comes to startups, first of all, it's very cool that you have a startup in high school. I think it's very impressive. What is important is, of course, the revenue, because startup is something that actually generates money, unlike a nonprofit. So revenue, sales, customers, all of that is important. But also you can look at secondary metrics like your followers on your company's page, or maybe visits to your website, or maybe number of collaborations that you've done. But these are all secondary. I would say the primary metric of any business is how much money you've made and how many clients or like users on your platform you have. So for Borderless, we track users because we are an app. And so like we have 30,000 registered users, and this is the number that I would use in an application if I had to do it. Yeah. So exchange programs. 2-3 weeks, this is where, to be very honest, they are not very impactful, because if you kind of go back to the beginning of my presentation where I said that you need to show commitment, impact, leadership, and passion, I don't feel like the short program answers to most of these, because commitment, 2-3 weeks, to me at least, that's not very much of a commitment. That's kind of like a side thing that you've done. Leadership, maybe, again, it depends on what it is exactly that you've done in an exchange program. Could have a lot of leadership, but some programs, all you do is just kind of go around the city, take pictures, and like speak some English. To me, that's not a particular impressive activity. What else was there? Impact, probably not so much, but again, maybe you went for 2 weeks, maybe you've done something cool in a different city. So I would say it just mostly depends on what happens in that exchange program and what it is that you proactively do. And I also think that, 2 people can go on the same program, and one will have done a lot and one not so much. So it's really kind of up to you to take the opportunity further and try to like collect this impact and the leadership that I've mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Veronica, many people asked from the last sessions from the speakers, what is the thing you would do different, or you would do at all if you had a chance to reapply, if you were reapplying, like applying again?
Right. So I applied many years ago. I basically was applying if I graduated in 2015 is when I was applying. So that was many years ago. And as I mentioned in the beginning, the landscape was very different, where people wouldn't even know what's like IELTS and TOEFL. So everything was really hard. It was much harder than it is right now. But also now there's more people are applying, so maybe it's more competitive. But I don't know. I think for me, what I would do is I would be a lot more mindful about choosing universities. Because I was a person who was like, I just need a scholarship and I just want to leave my country and I just need to go to America because America is the land of opportunities. And maybe a lot of you are thinking the same. Like, you don't have to say, but I know you do. Like, I know you, I'm the same. So it's fine to like start with that. And it's fine to just be like, I just want to go to New York. Like, I want to live in a big city. And you think of all the movies that you watch. Like, it's fine. The dream is to go there. But when it comes to actually crafting your application, you will never get in because you want to go to America. Like, so do many other immigrants who are like crossing the border, or so does everyone else. Like, that's obviously not enough. So when you're actually putting together your application, you have to be a lot more strategic about where you want to go and why you want to go. And for example, I see that a lot of people now go to NYU just because there's a lot of Central Asian people there and because it gives scholarship, because it's like free. But very few people actually understand what NYU is about. Like, people know that it's diverse, but like, how many people actually know the stats of diversity and how many people know what nationalities are there? And people say, oh, Abu Dhabi is such a cool city, but like, how many people have actually researched Abu Dhabi and looked at the actual city? And how many people know that NYU is literally on an island with nothing else? There's like NYU, there's a hotel and a beach, and there's like nothing else. And many people were not aware of that because they just came for the scholarship. So I was very happy, even though I haven't done enough research, but I was very happy. But I think it was by luck. But for you, you have to be super intentional and actually do all the research that you have to do, and know that the place where you go, you will spend the next 4 years of your life. You will literally be there from 18 to like 22, 23, which are one of the most defining years of your life. And if you're in a place which makes you unhappy or miserable, is just very sad, and it's not worth going to America if you don't like it. So I would have been a lot more intentional with my college search and asked myself a lot of these questions about what I want to do, where I want to be, and how do I want my college experience to look like.
Okay, amazing. So even if you already asked this question, so I would love to ask you it from you. So what values the students in NYU and NYU itself have? What values the university have? Yes.
So I think that NYU and NYUED is actually very different institutions, at least when I was there. And I think it's like confusing that when you apply, you kind of apply to NYU in general. But I do think that having like been at NYUED and then gone to NYU for a semester, I do think they are quite different. And so for NYUED, like diversity is a very clear value that they have. And it is like one of the most diverse universities in the world. I think something that's close to it is Minerva University, that also has like so many different nationalities, and they move around the world every semester. But these are probably the only two schools that are this diverse. So it's not just diversity where you have like a few students, they're really pushing it. So that's one. And two, what I think is the case in NYU Abu Dhabi is this value of like risk taking, because people went to a very new school. Like NYUD is a very new university that does not really have any reputation. It does not have legacy. It does not have like big alumni who have done great things. Like we are kind of making history right now. Like the most successful person I know still just has a regular job because they're too young to have achieved something, you know? So whoever went there took a big risk because there is no legacy, unlike there is in like Harvard and Princeton. So I think this value of like kind of just jumping into something new and seeing what happens is something that I see across students who came there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think our session is coming to an end, and I would ask the last question. It's our classic question, which we ask from every speaker. And what is the question you? Well, you gave speeches, you participate in this kind of webinars a lot, and what is the question you usually expect but you usually don't get it?
That's a good question. I think very few people ask me if I was actually happy at the university that I went to. I think a lot of people kind of see getting into college is the end goal of like their entire life. They're like, the moment I get in, like, this is it. Like, my life is done. Like, there's nothing more that I have to do. And I get it because now the process is so overwhelming where you feel like, just let me get in and like, then I'll figure it out. But if you kind of dig a bit deeper and you, I don't know, read some forums and you see some videos, you would understand that I kind of talked about it before, but like people could be very unhappy at these prestigious places. And I think it's very important to think about it. So almost no one asks me if I was happy, if like my mental health was fine. People usually ask me what are like my stats and like how to get in. So I wish there was a little bit more just like human level to these admissions discussions, again, to like push people to be more mindful about where they go.
So thank you. I think this is almost the end of our session. And I want to thank you, the audience, and you for agreeing and for being here, helping so much people and giving your advices. So thank you again. And if you say your last words, we can end this session.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for organizing, and I'm glad I haven't been kicked out in the last like 10 minutes. So thanks everyone for being patient and sticking around until the end. Thanks for organizing. Yeah, thanks for being here. Someone cannot hear. I think you guys can hear me. Yeah, I guess my last parting words would be to do your best with college applications, because it will change your life. It will take you from a country that not many people know, unfortunately, to a degree from like some of the world's best universities, and you will receive so many new opportunities and you will make amazing friends. But at the end of the day, it's not the end goal, and there are many other ways to be successful in life. especially now with, I don't know, the rise of technology and with so many things being online, you can truly do a lot even where you are. So don't put so much pressure on yourself, and don't think of it as, like the ultimate success that you need to achieve. If you're smart and talented and hardworking, you will be fine in whatever college you go to, and you will find friends in whatever college you go to. So just trust that you will be happy. And if you don't get in, take a gap year. Just please take a gap year. It's fine. Like, I know many people are like, oh my God, I don't want to waste a year. Like, it is fine. Like, your life is long. Spending one more year to go to college of your dreams, it's okay. So just relax a little bit, do your best, but, stay sane, stay happy, and try to enjoy both the college application process, but then your college life in the future. Yeah. And come to Borderless. I'm doing an event soon. Sorry, a little bit of promotion, but I'm doing an event on essays on Saturday. So please come and just read the post on our website. I think that will be super happy, super useful for you guys. Yes.
So thank you again, Veronica, for being with us, for your help, and thank you again, and thank you for the to the audience, and
yeah. Thank you so much.
See you.
And if you guys want the presentation, I'm happy to share it, and maybe you can keep it in Telegram or something.
See you.
Right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks, guys.
And then we're gonna follow our tradition. Xo'p, o'zimiz traditsiyaga sodiq qolgan holda keyingi speakerimizni guest qilamiz. Xo'p, bir daqiqa. Xo'p, keyingi speakerimizni kommentariyada, oxirgi post kommentariyasida guest ko'ringlar. Kim waiting for Gazalxon. Xo'p, ikkita Gazalxon chiqdi уже. Xo'p, sizlarga уже hint berishim ham kerak yo'q, menimcha. O'sha ko'p kutgan Gazalxon speakerimiz Xudo xolasa ertaga chiqishadi. Ozgina vaqtini ertagalik post chiqadi, shu postda aytib o'tamiz. Demak, ertaga Garvard o'quvchisi Gazalxon Gazalxonni kutib qolamiz. Hammaga rahmat qo'shilganligingiz uchun va hali ham davom etamiz. Hali bundan qiziqlar bo'ladi. Gazalxondan keyin ham hali katta spikerlarimiz bor. Xudo xolasa hammasi zo'r bo'ladi. Hammalarga rahmat. Ertaga ko'rishguncha.